Hey guys, welcome to the Dropped Podcast. Today we're going to give you an introduction to our group, and we're going to talk about how we go about starting a new army. We've been playing, almost 2 years now, together at least, as a group.
I joined a bit later, but yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, my name's Matt. I've been playing probably for about 2-ish years. Started closer to the end of 7th, about halfway through maybe, I'm not really sure. So far, my main army right now is Drukhari. Working on building a list of that. And as... what?
Also known as Dank Eldar.
Dank Eldar. Well... Drukhari?
Dankari.
I call him Drew Carey.
Drew Carey?
Drew Carey, yeah.
Wow. Did they lose a lot of weight?
Yeah, they did. They did. All the shitty weight, now they're just lean, mean fighting machines.
Great. I don't know if I'm really going to be doing any hobbying for the most part. I might pick out some stuff, but everyone else here is working on a little bit of stuff for their armies. And with that, I guess I'll hand it off to whoever wants to take the mic.
So,
Sorry.
my name's Kyle, and I am Alfarius.
My name's Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Whoa!
I'm going to need more coffee.
So I've played probably off and on since 2004. So I would have started in 4th edition. I played consistently for a little over 2 years. And very recently, within the last year or so, I've just gotten into the competitive side of 40K. Playing mostly at tournaments in Western Canada with the Wet Coast GT and the
Attack X.
and Attack X. As far as armies that I play, mostly Imperium factions with Space Marines, Codex Space Marines, and Adeptus Mechanicus. But I've also played a bunch of other things, Tau, Grey Knights.
Used to.
Something strange is happening in the corner.
There's grass in my coffee.
It's just Eric.
You're not supposed to put grass in
Just
your
bad
coffee.
Eric. Good Eric's on the other corner.
This is probably going to be really painful for everyone to listen to. It's 1 in the morning. We're all really tired. I feel like that's how most podcasts go, though, so I think we're off to a bad start.
Yeah.
Perhaps worst start. You never know.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. But yeah, played a variety of things. As far as things I plan on working on this summer in general, currently working on building a Tau list and expanding on my Adeptus Mechanicus.
Good old AdMech, eh?
AdMech, tons of fun, even if the codex is pretty slim.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad about that.
There's not a lot of units to choose from, but at least the units that are in there are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm Eric. Isn't it weird that there's actually no mechs in the AdMech army?
I mean,
pointing that
a lot
out.
of mechanical beings.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mechanicus.
there's armigers now.
Tau has more mechs than AdMech.
Yeah,
They
But
make
they're not
mechs
actually in the
for
Maybe they
codex.
call
though,
it
are
mechs.
they?
Oh, yeah,
They
that's
should
true.
add
That's true.
Yeah.
The AdMech they're called that
AdMechs.
because they need to add
It's a big hint for the
They
whole
add them in.
faction.
the
Makes
whole
sense.
thing.
Robot people
Well-
get robo suits.
Scutari, I guess.
Skittery,
Continue.
cyborgs,
Well,
bad people.
prisoners mostly.
That's a sad story.
This is bad Eric, remember everyone.
Yeah, this is Eric with an E. Probably.
No. This is Patrick Warburg.
Oh, that's right.
No, Warburton is his name.
Warburton? Yeah, what? It's
I've
close.
gone that wrong my whole life.
Me too. Me too.
Peter.
Oh, Peter.
What armies do you play, Eric?
A lot, Jacob. I play Tyranids. They're my favorite boys. I love Tyranids. I wouldn't do anything to them, though. I've played Space Marines and Imperial Guard. A little bit of Tau, but I've retired. Some Necrons. I dabble.
What do you play as your main army?
Tyranids.
Great.
I'm gonna
Because
pass
if you-
on the
if-
mic to good Eric.
If you continued to go through your list, it wouldn't stop.
Anyways, here's
So
good
I'm the
Eric.
supposed good Eric.
He's the nicest one.
It's spelled with an A, so
Spelled
it's
an
pure.
A.
It's
Mhm.
pure.
Right from the beginning of the alphabet.
You can
Chris.
tell because there's an A. in P.
Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
So many
silent.
A's in Peter.
It's at the
It's like
front.
7 of them, and they're all silent. Anyways,
Who's
I mostly
approved
play
your back?
Space Wolves. Currently playing Guard until the 7th Ed Codex comes out. I also
7th Ed.
Oh, 8th Ed. Even better.
News for you to put us
Holy
about.
shit, guys. Sorry. Anyway.
This is the time traveling podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The dropped pod is a time traveling
We
pod. We
recorded
dropped
this.
it. It's not working anymore. That's the problem.
We recorded this several years ago now.
But yeah, I also have Dark Eldar as well, and smatterings of just about everything else. I've been playing since about 2011. Started in 5th Ed, took a break for a while, and picked it up in 7th, and played pretty solid all the way through till now in 8th. So yeah, cool beans and stuff, man.
We would what?
Go ahead.
No, we would hand this off to Derek.
He's dead.
He's not with us tonight. He should be here next episode.
He's trapped in a concert.
He and I will
nobody
be
would
trading
want to
because I
go to.
won't be here next episode. You will.
Well, we're not doing this every Saturday though, right?
Every second Saturday.
Yeah, so next hobby time.
All right. Okay.
So
I don't think we're doing
I'm
this
missing the
ever
next
again.
3
I can-
Saturdays.
I can cut this stuff out as well. Right? So
I mean, our one viewer would agree.
All
Yeah.
cards on the table.
It's gonna
Eric
have to
and
be
Derek are the
trimmed
same
up.
Person.
Eric, Derek, and Eric.
You'll never
Yeah.
see them in
All
the
the
same
same.
room at the same time.
Eric, Derek, and Derek.
Derek, Eric, Derek, and Eric, Derek.
What?
Huh?
So we're saving the best for last, obviously.
Well,
That's me. My name's Chris. I'm the best.
No, you said the best.
Yeah.
That's
I could
Matt.
have sworn you were.
No, he already went, I
no,
thought.
It's
Oh,
not.
the
It's
best
not
is
me.
over.
Anyways, I went last because I fucked up the intro the first time so bad that we started over.
You know what's really funny?
I didn't fuck up the first 3 times as the host.
I really dropped the ball.
How's the view under the bus?
Pretty small.
Wait, are we not recording?
The
right
bus
now?
that he's under, I'm driving into a
That would be
ditch.
really fun.
So it's good. It's good either way.
Anyway, Chris.
Anyways, yeah, everybody knows my name. I used to play in 3rd, like 15, 16 years ago. Played Night Lords because they were the edgiest faction back then. Lightning bolts.
In fact, they could
All
be
that.
considered edgelords.
Oh yeah, the edgiest of lords. Yeah, yeah, the edge of the night, the Twilight
Oh
Lords.
my god.
So much edge.
Yeah, oh, man, pointy. And then I stopped because I was 15 years old, and that's you run out of money fast in this hobby. So I stopped, and then I got back into it with all the boys here. What, 9 months ago now? Almost
Hasn't
a year,
been
I
9
guess.
months?
Yeah, I think it was around November last
Holy.
year. Basically, shortly after 8th dropped, I guess.
Pretty
Just
close.
months
4
after.
months.
Because
8th dropped in July last year, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, once the codexes started coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up that first strike box for the Primaris Marines because I actually like them, one of the few. But my main army is
Dirty traitor.
Space Sharks, but I run them as Blood Angels because, I mean, why wouldn't you? And right now I'm working on Wastes of Time, aka Orc Knobs, because they're trash.
Great.
Well, at least until we see a codex for orcs.
Yeah.
They'll probably still be trash, but
Codex is going to drop.
Oh, I
in
don't know.
So strong.
I mean,
They might be crap. If they do the same thing like Terminators, they'll be crap.
they're Terminator equivalent, right? At least they're not Mega Knobs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, those are probably pretty good. I
They
wouldn't
used to
know.
be pretty good.
Guess we'll find out.
Maybe.
We'll need a codex to see.
That's me. I'm done.
Great. We've been playing, pretty consistently almost every weekend for damn near 2 years.
With the odd, we miss the odd weekend when
Yeah.
people can't make it due to personal events, that kind of thing. But very consistently
I didn't join these
in a
guys.
casual environment. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't join these guys till May, so they're pretty new to me.
For the topic tonight, I was thinking we'd talk about, or how about, you go into picking a new army if you're looking for something new. What kind of research do you put into it? Do you sort of just kind of go off whim and say, I like playing Minotaurs. I'm gonna make a Minotaur list, or
Just a random example.
yeah, as a random example, or do you go read what's best at tournaments and try and power game the shit out of your friends?
We can start with the worst. I'll go first.
Okay, great.
Well, on the topic of Minotaurs, right?
Great. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
I picked Minotaurs because they looked sick. But usually when I start a new army, I'll grab an army that is pretty awesome in the lore because I'm a lore junkie.
and I'll just try to make it as sweet as possible as like something I've read out of a book. Like as an example, I read the Shield of Battle series before I played Tyranids, and I thought they were the coolest shit in the entire universe. So I started an army, and they were fun to play, and I've been playing the whole time. So that's how I like to do it. It usually is story based. And I'll try to make an army that would exist in a story. I don't want to do any like, you know, as an example, some of you guys might have seen 7 Hive Tyrants in the list. That would literally never happen, so I wouldn't do it. But I like my swarms and a couple of big monsters. Very classic. That's usually how I'll build a list, story-wise.
Just all fluff, eh?
Usually.
It's good. It's a good way to do it.
It's the worst way to do it.
Not if you pick Tyranids, because you still win every game anyway.
Well, yeah.
So, good choice.
Thanks.
The
Good
3-point models have
Yeah.
more attacks than some dude
Than
with
orc knobs.
17 chainsaws.
Well, when you can still throw, 100 and some odd of them onto the table, have a fluffy list.
Yeah, right?
Not a lot of people can, deal with 150 plus models.
Just like in the fluff.
Yeah, I mean that
There you go.
it still does you pretty well. Yeah.
It does.
For me, usually it's all about the novelty. A lot of my army decisions usually come down to an impulse buy. If I'm being totally honest, I'll see something either online or on the shelf, and I'll go, "Holy shit, that's really cool." A lot of the time, I might not actually have a really clear idea about what the unit does. Either in the lore or rules-wise, but it might, just the look of it might really kind of strike me, and I'll jump on it. And it might not even necessarily be a model that's a model from a faction I play, or a faction, or models that from a faction that I have right now that I would normally play, and I'll jump on it and I'll try and make it work, and sometimes that's that I've done that to my detriment, and I'll stick to a model or a play style that doesn't really suit me very well for a very, very long time. much to my detriment. Trying to make something work that just isn't going to work, and but just for the sake of novelty. But it'd still be fun. It'd still be fun. And then, but when it comes to the competitive side of things, usually I'll look for something that has a neat or interesting gimmick. I do prefer to try and run things that aren't necessarily seeing a lot of play in the tournament side of things. I will still try and use the things that other people are using in the tournament side of things, because obviously you want to bring things that are effective, and if a lot of people are using them, obviously you want to include those things in your lists.
If it's reliable, you might as well go with it.
Exactly, but I do like to try and have something that is a unique gimmick. That said, I mean, it's 40K, and I'm playing Space Marines. Realistically, there's not a whole lot that you can say is unique when it comes to Space Marines and gimmicks that are unique. For me, the closest thing I could say that I am bringing to the table that is unique is a little blob of Hellblasters. Not a lot of people are playing those in the competitive scene, but I am, and it's fun. I like what they do, and not a lot of people see that. Not a lot of people see those walking up the table as a big threat, and then when they start knocking off their tanks because they don't get any save of any sort against them, it usually surprises people pretty quickly, which is fun, because they don't usually start shooting Hellblasters right away.
Primaris don't see a lot of competitive tabletop, do they?
Not a lot. There's definitely people who are usually running one or two units. Like you sometimes see Raven Guard using the aggressors, pretty aggressively. as
How
as screening units, because the flamers and even the bolters are pretty strong.
Yeah, you can infiltrate them,
And you can infiltrate
don't
them.
count as moving.
And they don't count as moving, so they get their double shots right away.
Right.
Yeah. But no, you don't see a lot of Primaris stuff. Though there is a guy, a fellow locally. I believe his name is Tack. And if I'm not mistaken, he came in second place, or at least placed very highly at the Wet Coast GT.
He got best general, didn't he?
Like
overall?
maybe it
You
was
got
best
the overall
general
award?
at the Wet Coast GT with an almost entirely Primaris list. I think he was running less than 30 models at the Wet Coast GT, and that was a almost entirely Primaris list,
Yeah,
which
like
was
Repulsor,
really
I
impressive.
think,
Yeah,
and
and it was
Redemptor
running
Dreads.
like all Primaris.
I mean, it did have Gilliman in it.
Yeah, and I mean he's solid, but
he needed
looking at other competitive scenes, he's obviously not the end all be all for Space Marines
Yeah.
or the Imperium in general, because there's tons of Imperium lists that don't even touch him anymore, right?
Well,
true.
especially with the friggin' Custodes drop.
Yeah. There's lots of options that, I mean, maybe aren't necessarily better than him, but at least replace him in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Which is always nice because he's a bitch.
Yeah.
Hate that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to build, because I think the way that you pick a new army is I'm a little bit similar. I basically start with finding models that I really like, because I came back to this for the hobby aspect, mostly that I thought the models were really sick, because 15 years ago the models were not sick, not even a little bit. The Chaos Space Marines that we have now were the coolest things in the world back then, because before that you had heads still attached to torsos that went up, the worst. Both arms holding bolter were like the same length. So they're just like, here, have my bolter. That's how they all looked. Really scary for Night Lords. But so now I usually pick models I like, which is why I started with that First Strike box, and that got me into Space Marines. And then I'll pick that first, and then usually I'll look around and see if the models that I like, if I can use them competitively. Orcs is a bit of a off the edge on that, because I'll also look at kit patch potential. If I don't like models, I'll see if there's an easy way or a way that I can come up with that. I'm like, okay, well, I can kit bash this, and I'll like it enough that kind of outweighs having, I guess, shitty choices for units to buy, Like orc war bosses on bikes, those don't even exist, basically, unless you have Forge World, so whatever, do it yourself. But...
Especially when you're making a fucking mini pod racer.
Right? You got to do it sometimes. You got to do what you can, and I mean, my models turn out great, so that's good. But
you can't see this, but it really is a pod racer, and it's sitting right in front of me. It really is a pod racer, like Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom of the Menace, pod racer,
Little
on
smaller.
Tatooine pod racer.
A little smaller, but
Yeah.
I mean, it looks fucking sweet, right?
yeah, and so that didn't exist. So I went and I grabbed, some Age of Sigmar, what are they, the Iron Jaws or the Bone Splitters or whatever. Grabbed a Venom, grab some extra bits from Kyle here for the engines, and you make it work.
Yeah.
But,
So we've got there are pieces from a Stormhawk Interceptor. We've got the Venom transport from the Dark Eldar. Like you mentioned, the
Sigmar orcs.
Age of
the
Sigmar.
Boar guys was like the base of the body.
the Boar
There's
Riders.
Flash Git bits in there.
A little bit of everything.
There's the ass of an old metal Killacan in there. I mean, back then I think
If
they
we
were
start
called
doing a
Dreads,
Twitch stream, you viewers might get a chance to see some of this
That's
stuff,
right.
which we
You'll
will
get
let
would
you
actually,
know.
yeah, that'd be super
especially if we do some battle reports, you'll see it lose every time, but that's okay.
You'll see it be taken off the table first.
yeah, we'll
But
hold
boy,
it
does
up.
it look awesome.
We'll
It
hold
sure
up.
fucking does.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
For me, it's like models first, and because I'm a really competitive person, I'll end up with the models I have, try to build the most competitive list I can. It certainly happened with Blood Angels. I started as Space Sharks, picked the models I liked, and then I ended up running a bunch of scouts and shit because it just happens. That's competitive, so I'll do it. But it's not where I start from. I never look at a new army and say, I want to be competitive because I'm going to be playing Dark Elder right now. So.
Oh, well, thank you. That's the second time I've been thrown under the bus.
Well, I'll pass that to you. I'm down under the bus there.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean... it's tough for me, because I've played 4 armies, right? I've never had a full 2,000 points of an army before I changed my mind, and I'm like, fuck these guys, I want something new. These guys suck. And it's probably falls down to my list building, where, you know, I started out with some AdMech in 7th. That was my like entry army, and they were super cool, and I wasn't super into hobbying, still kinda but I went I don't know how long I played those guys for. I think I had like 750 points.
That sounds right.
It was like the intro, getting started box, and an extra squad of rangers or something.
I don't know if you had that many, because
No?
it was like one dune crawler. It was like one dune crawler, a squad of not rangers, but vanguard.
And a
The
priest.
or
Tech
the
priest.
Dominus.
You had
Yeah.
Sicarians.
Oh yeah,
Sicarians.
you
I had
did. You did have the
Sicarians, that's
Sicarians.
right.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
had Rust
that's what they
Stalkers.
were.
You had the Rust Stalkers.
Rust Stalkers, and they were trash awful back then, and still kind of are.
Oh no, they're pretty badass now.
Well, I don't know.
I like them a lot.
You like them?
I like them a lot.
I wasn't super fond of them. I changed to
Or not the Rust Stalkers, the Infiltrators.
yeah. So
The
I had
Infiltrators.
infiltrators. I
Yeah.
had the,
Yeah.
the pistol and the taser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Rust Stalkers I don't like right now. The Infiltrators I like right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
At the time, Kyle was playing GK, and for some reason, I have a little bit of a hard on. Like, I'm not religious, but I have a hard on for like religious things in games for some reason.
You like Crusader iconography and reference.
Yeah. So seeing those guys, I was like, oh fuck, they're so cool, and I decided to start playing those guys. And again, I probably only ended up with like 750 points of those guys too, before I decided I was kinda not super into the Imperium anymore.
But they played an okay mix with the AdMech at the time.
Yeah, I didn't really run them together a lot though. I bored a lot of your models
Yeah.
to play a
Yeah.
full 2K. But when it comes to me choosing something like for a new army, I'm very, very aesthetic driven. So from there, like I still love the way the GK look, but they're not really. I don't want to say feasible in 8th, but they're not what I feel like they used to be in 7th.
Like they don't have the same feel.
Yeah, they feel very different, and I don't think it didn't strike me too well, I guess.
Yeah, they didn't keep they didn't maintain the same
Feel.
Flavor.
flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially now with the little bit of a psyker change, but it's very, very aesthetic driven for me. So I saw the new Thousand Suns models at one point and was like, well, guess I'm a Thousand Suns player all of a sudden, and went hard in the paint on those for a few months, and then again dropped them and picked up Eldar, or Dark Eldar, sorry. I don't know why I picked up Eldar though. I think I was looking at their rules one day and I just kind of got like hooked on.
Well, we were talking because you were getting kind of tired of Thousand Suns. They weren't doing you any good.
Yeah, it's just like
And you're
you
like-
slowly
I was like,
walk
is
and you
there any
shoot
other-
and you cast spells, which
Yeah.
is sweet, but it gets kind of boring.
So we were talking on mic. Sorry, I'm just totally interjecting.
That's totally fine.
And I was like, is there any other army that you would even consider playing? And you're like, well, Dark Eldar are kind of cool. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, they're super good, so...
I think that was it too. Is I went through looking at a bunch of models and I was like, I don't want to do Space Marines. I've already played 2 factions of those guys.
That was probably like right around when the Codex was going to drop that you
It was
made
a
that
little
switch,
before.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit before the Codex drop, I picked up my first models for Drukhari and decided to go all in on Red Grief because it was a complete style change. So it went from being amazing psychers and decent shooters to okay shooters and all melee all the time with no psychic. So it was a really, really interesting sort of style change for me.
Well, it's just very different because you go from this option where like you had some are just these crazy like high point value models
Yeah,
where
it's
like
very elite.
you've got Magnus and just these like incredibly expensive troop options to now you've got these super spammable like even like your most expensive options like the bikers and and your transports and whatnot are relatively cheap in comparison to your witches and your like they're
warriors and all
yeah,
that.
and your warriors and all that. They're super spammable by comparison to the all your scarab occults dudes.
Anything in the Thousand
Yeah,
Suns
anything in the
Yeah,
Thousand Suns
pretty much.
Codex. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I went from I think I was running like 46 models to now I'm running almost 100.
And I mean, at we're not even
Yeah,
at 2,000.
Not
points
even at
yet.
2,000 points yet. We're working on we're playing kind of like a Path to Glory thing, sorta.
Pretty basic version of it.
Yeah, super simple version. So we're starting on that. But yeah, when it comes to choosing a new list, I kind of just jump all over the place because when I see rules that are awesome, I kind of want to play that. But then when I see models that look really cool, I also just want to do that. But it was really interesting for Drukhari because I liked the way that the witches looked and the succubi, and then I saw the boats that they've got, and I was like, those look so dumb.
And
then
to
I've
clarify,
got some-
the boats we frequently call the
the
transports the raiders.
Raiders,
We usually use
Raiders,
those as
Ravagers.
boats. 'Cause
Ravagers,
all the Drukhari are pirates and
Pretty
boats. Yeah.
Space Pirates.
Yeah.
I saw the boats and I thought they were the stupidest looking models in the entire line, and then I picked some up because they're great, and I fucking love the way they look now. So it definitely falls mostly, I think, down into aesthetics for me, and then also I get bored of things really easily, which is a huge downfall. Like
Not for GW.
even video games. Well, yeah, right. They're making so much money. But I'll play one style of a list, and that was I think what came down to it for me too was for Thousand Suns. I played the same list over and over and over again for like 2 to 3 months,
Probably more.
probably more, yeah.
Yeah.
And every weekend the same thing with the same outcomes damn near, and it just got boring.
Well, the codex is so slim that even if you
Yeah.
start picking some of the other options up, I mean, realistically, it's gonna play very similarly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
The only things I didn't have were Terminators, because they're not great right now. Even the Scarab Occult ones are kind of eh. And like
Age of Sigmar models.
like Rhino chassis, because that's all
Yeah.
you can take, right? So it was like you pretty much owned everything by buying 3 boxes of dudes, right?
yeah, or you're allying with
Yeah, or
you're allying with
yeah.
the CSM codex, which I mean, arguably really strong
Yeah, it's
option,
alright,
but
works out.
if you want to play a pure codex,
Yeah.
Thousand Suns codex,
You're
right?
pretty limited.
Yeah,
They're-
you're pretty limited. Yeah.
The really sad thing too about them is they don't function well if you don't have Magnus. So naturally, I bought Magnus because it makes your list. It's like that step up that you need to have to be able to keep up with damn near any list that you're fighting.
Also, he's inarguably a fucking cool model.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's a hot boy. But yeah,
Easy for
always comes back to aesthetics for me.
Well, building the list for me, it's kind of a mix of both. I like something. The most important part, for sure, is they have to be cool, lore and looks wise. I played Dark Eldar. It wasn't my choice, but I made a sweet deal. I made a piece of some armor for a friend. They gave me their army. Cool beans. I was young, had no money, but had enough money to build some freaking armor. Sweet. And back then, I thought they were pretty cool. But the biggest issue that I found with them is they weren't competitive at all. I'd play. It didn't matter just about anything that I was playing. I was getting wiped off the board.
That was back in 3rd.
That was back in 5th.
Fifth. Okay.
That was back in 5th. And, you know, they were kind of okay. And also, I was totally new. So, you know, my list building was probably pretty shit anyways. So I ended up changing over to Space Wolves from there. And I just fucking love their lore. I love the look of their models. The whole thing. Cool. I played them all the way through 7th. And I played almost entirely against Tau. And for anybody who's played that version, Tau was pretty powerful as fuck. And I lost all but pretty much one game with him, which I learned a ton. But I was still able to keep playing because I thought the lore and the models were still fucking sweet, even though I lost a shitload. And so from then on, it became more important to be cool, but I still wanted something that could compete, or at least have a chance. And so at that point, I went to Guard because they had a codex out. They were pretty. I liked them a shitload beforehand, and I could make a list and still actually have a chance at winning. So it was pretty cool. And so I've stuck with them, and I'll be probably going back to my Wolves as soon as the new codex comes out and they're a bit more competitive. But it's always been the cool. I don't need an army to fucking annihilate stuff. I need something that I think is sweet. I will always make 2 lists. One that's just fun as hell and fuck around, like, cool, let's throw all these wolves and a whole bunch of other cool shit at everything.
I really like the way this model works.
Exactly. Let's have fun. And then I build a list that if I actually start to give a shit about maybe winning, okay. I'll do something.
You end up on a losing streak, and you're like, all right, well, let's do something.
This is cool, but I don't want to lose
I need
all
to
the time.
reassess.
Yeah. And, I didn't mind losing if they were close games. I love close games. I don't like a total steamroll either way.
Yeah.
But it still does get tiring after a while when you play for almost an entire year and you lose just about every single game. So Matt knows about this. So it's definitely a learning spree. So that's pretty quick and easy for me. I mean, if it's fucking cool, even if I lose, I'll still probably enjoy it, and I'll enjoy building it. And I finally just got into the painting and hobbying part of things, so it's getting more cool anyways. But my biggest thing, I never liked any of the basic color schemes. Every single army I've had, I've looked at all the color schemes in the codex and been like, God, that's so boring and awful. Good God, what are you doing? Let's make it these colors. Woo! So, that's the only kind of thing I'm not a big fan of all the armies I have. Their base color schemes are, in my opinion, fucking garbage. But
to put it bluntly,
exactly.
The painters for GW suck a cock.
We're a whole bunch of space Vikings that live in ice and snow and shit. Let's make them a really gross, dull blue-gray. Whoa.
But it looks like ice.
But it doesn't.
Not that any of the painters are bad.
No, I mean
just that whoever originally came up with the schemes were maybe a little unimaginative.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's some models that are painted well and look fucking great, but not my favorite in the world.
On top of that topic, though, there's some art that GW has done, like pictures, and you can look at a model and like, what the fuck is going on
like
there?
There's
just
face.
like a huge
Gilliman's
mess.
Gilliman's face.
Oh god,
Gilliman's face is
what
the worst.
happened?
Also, all the scouts for some reason.
Yeah.
Every single scout marine's face of forever.
And most female models' faces.
Yeah.
A lot of the old pictures of the sisters just look so goofy.
Yeah.
Everybody's got the same face.
Yeah, right. So
we did it.
we did.
We got the
one
intro
photograph
done.
at a time.
We did the intro. And the
Yeah.
outro.
37 minutes.
Okay, I can add shit to this then. If
Podcast
you're a new
time.
player and you're looking for a new list, I would definitely go for something that looks cool and is still partially competitive, because it was slightly different for me when I first got like my first army that I wanted. Cool made all the fucking difference.
Yeah.
All
That's a real. You got to buy something that you enjoy looking at,
Yeah,
otherwise
yeah.
you're not going to want to play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
And it's great to
even-
do a lot of research too
Yeah, if you can
before
find,
you pick your first one.
that's true.
You probably want a little bit of competitive game though. Like if you're out there and you're listening, don't
Yeah.
start playing Grey Knights.
Yeah.
Just
No.
don't do it.
I mean,
Yeah.
they look.
I don't care how cheap it is.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing with 8
These are my
is
17 Storm Ravens.
Yeah. The nice thing with 8 is still things, okay, Grey Knights probably necessarily aren't a great pick for competitive play, but they're a hell of a lot more balanced between all the races than they were in previous
Yeah,
editions.
if you're playing in the
They were-
garage, go for it. But
Well,
Yeah.
and that said,
Be
I mean,
prepared.
you can go to a tournament. You can play Grey Knights. You are if you're playing at a if you're playing at a tournament and there are 70 some odd players, you are not going to make it to the top 20 players. But you can probably do fairly well and come somewhere in the middle of the pack.
probably win a couple games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're not gonna spend your whole weekend losing games. You can probably make it somewhere in the middle of that.
Depends how many Grey
Yeah.
Knights players show up.
Yeah.
I think you have to be playing orcs to lose all your games, don't you?
That's
No,
so-
not
you
You
don't
don't
have
have
to
to be
do
playing
that.
orcs
No.
without any boys.
No.
That's how you lose
Oh,
everything.
And the biggest thing
Yeah.
too is they don't have a codex yet. Once they get the codex, they're probably gonna shit.
Orcs, yeah, orcs are going to be
all of the Horde armies got a really nice boost this version, and they weren't very powerful in the previous versions. So they're
the only way you're going to a tournament and losing all of your games is if you go to a tournament and you go completely unprepared.
Yeah.
But if you're just getting into this for the first time and you're looking to start a new faction and you're jumping into it, I think you just need to do what feels right. And if you're the person who prefers to go into something totally 100% prepared, then do the reading. And if you're somebody who prefers to impulse buy, then just impulse buy and do what feels right.
And the other thing as well, like the reason why I say research is you also got to know yourself. Some people like to play because they like to just totally annihilate everyone. That's what's fun for them.
Yeah.
Others like to play for close games and fluff. So do your research, A, into what you think is cool, and B, choose something that's within the way that you like to play. If you like to steamroll and you like the army that does not do very well, you probably get bored of it pretty darn quick.
Yeah, that's the one thing too, is like, depending on your play style, even if you're doing Garage Hammer, right? Like, our Saturdays are usually pretty casual.
Like, we'll drink a lot of beer and just goof around.
Yeah, there've been some days we just talk and actually don't really play shit.
Yeah,
so
that's how this
true.
started.
The
Yeah.
Andy staff know us.
Yes,
damn
they
near
do.
by name. What was I saying?
Definitely by sight.
Generally pretty casual. So our Saturdays are usually pretty casual.
Yeah, our Saturdays are usually pretty casual, even if we're trying, like, when you guys are heading to a tournament and you guys are getting your tournament games in, it's not even really any different, I guess you could say. It's like, we're going to play ITC rules now, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Practice, make sure we got our shit down, tweak our list a little bit. The only problem, especially when you were saying going prepared, one thing you got to really, really pay attention to if you're trying to get into the competitive scene is...
And you're building a new list to get ready for that.
Yeah, you're building a new list. Even if you're building a list with, like, an army you gotta... I've seen lists get put up that are tailored to fight one thing. You can't do that, right?
You have to get really lucky.
I mean, unless now with the Knights Codex, there's going to be like 75% of the players playing only Knight lists because they're just like retarded.
As they've been doing with every other codex.
Yeah.
The newer the one, the more OP it is.
Yeah.
And they kind of continue on and then nerf it a little bit. And
Yeah.
they do the next one and it's more OP as fuck, and then they nerf it a little bit. So
There's a lot to be said about preparation in the sense of building your list to... I mean, even like...
Know the meta.
Yeah,
Know the meta,
some
yeah.
idea of like local or national meta is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
going to a turn.
if you intend to try and take the thing anyway.
Well, yeah, even if you're going to have fun,
Yeah.
right? You don't want to get your list shit on every single game you play just because you get a bad matchup or something. I mean, it's going to happen,
Yeah.
but...
Or bring a faction that can bring 250 models and just bring 250 models. That'll probably do you just fine too.
Yeah, like Tyranids.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get all your points in the first 2 turns because you won't make it to turn 3, but that's okay.
That's what I was saying to Kyle.
You get all the points and win.
There you go. There you go.
First 2 turns matter.
Recon's going to be really good for that. If you move fast enough behind enemy lines, that'll be really solid.
I'm gonna be honest though, like if anyone else who's listening is also running 250 Tyranids, you probably know what you're talking about before you drop X $100
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true.
on tiny
Yeah.
pigs.
That's that one downside with a lot of the Horde armies. You pay the same amount for less points than some of the other armies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 10 guard that only costs 40 points in a game out of 2,000, I pay almost the exact same for a 10 pack of Space Marines.
Like you really gotta love
Yeah.
each little.
You gotta know what you're buying and be happy to
It's
spend it.
funny though mentioning money about it too. That's what turned me off of wanting to play certain armies when I was looking for something new. I go, okay, well, I'm going to build a list that I think is cool, and I build it and I calculate the price out, and I'm like, oh, $2,000. Well, I guess I'm not playing that.
And there's been instances where I've gone to build lists where it hasn't been an impulse decision,
Yeah.
and it's been something where I've wanted to build something that plays a certain way, and then the dollar figure has turned me off of that.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, especially when you're new and you're young.
Yeah.
Oh man, especially if you're like just looking at buying your first pack of models, that price can be a little hard to jump over,
Yeah.
especially to get into it. Yeah, I guess if you're more of a veteran player and you're used to the prices, but you're looking for something new, it's not a big deal, I guess. But
And GW also finally released some things where you actually get some money saving, like the starter boxes.
yeah,
great.
some
It's gotten a
easy
lot
build
better.
models.
It's a
Yeah.
lot better now than it was
Yeah.
when I was playing
Even in
back
7th ed.
back in like 4th and 5th edition. Yeah.
It was like that in 7th too. If you
Yeah.
went onto online or bought any of those packages of a bunch of models, if you literally priced them out individually and added it together, it'd be exactly that price.
Yeah.
So it's at
It's
least
a
there are
lot better
few
now
things.
than it has been in the
Yeah.
past.
Yes. So there are some kits you can get that you save quite a bit on models, especially some if you know a friend that likes another army. There's some they're putting together where you get 2 armies and a rule book and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are great to start. Like even if you only want half of them and don't have a friend, it's usually pretty easy to sell all the extra stuff.
I have no friends. I'm going to play a game that takes 2 people.
But I mean, that's why websites like eBay exist, right?
Right,
Exactly.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah.
And another thing too, if you have a hard time sort of envisioning how a list is going to play just by looking at paper, buying those getting started boxes to try it out, and just build the models. Don't bother painting them if you're not sure if you're going to sell them or not. Right? You can play them, see how they feel, and that way you're not proxying models, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work and you don't like the way it feels, it's not a big deal to go sell them, because you're most likely going to make at least
Some of your money back.
most
Most
of it, if not
The other thing you can do as well is contact local 40K groups. There are usually lots in most towns and cities, even small ones in Canada. And usually most of the players, if you aren't sure how an army plays and someone has one, they're usually totally okay if you come and watch.
Yeah.
If you want to ask questions and see what they're playing and see what that army is like before you drop money on a starter box or something like that, there's usually a lot of places you can do that. There are lots of options.
Somebody might even be willing to let you run their
Yeah.
models.
Yeah.
You know?
Run their models,
Yeah.
or some might be selling them for cheaper than buying them new, or ask around. We do kind of hide in our own little corner, but everybody that's in the corner is usually pretty friendly with everybody else.
Oh yeah.
So you get the occasional idiot, but that comes with every group of different games or otherwise, right? So
One thing that's probably good too is you kind of want if you're gonna pick an army for the first time, like your first army, you almost kind of want to look at an army that has a bit of depth to it. Like for example, if you really like the Thousand Suns, but if there's only 1 or 2 lists that are viable,
You don't be like me.
then then if you look into something like Space Marines, which maybe they're not the most hyper competitive, but there's a lot in that faction that
Yeah.
you
So
can
many
change it
varieties,
up.
that's
You
right.
can try different lists. I thought Space Marines were great for me because I actually started just on the Space Marine Codex, and I ran my guys as Raven Guard for a while because Space Wolves or Space Sharks rather are kind of Space Water Wolves are Raven
Space
Guard
Water Wolves.
subchapter. But it let me get the feel for that, and then hey, Blood Angels came out. I was like, you know what, that's cool. That kind of fits how Space Sharks work, and I get Death Company, and that's great because that's a competitive unit and it's
Space
really
Sharks
strong.
look super cool too.
Space Sharks look awesome,
yeah.
and they look awesome as Death Company. So it works out. It all works out. Kit bash potential.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
that's probably like a really good point though. Is Space Marines is a really really good starter place because they've got so many different styles throughout the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Mhm.
You
Right?
can play it in so many different ways.
Yeah, you can have ones that rip across the field and bash heads together on the first turn, damn near, or you can just hide in a corner and shoot people with 17,000 las guns, or las cannons.
As similar as Imperial Fists and Black Templars are, they play completely different.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the nice thing too. You have so many different chapters, different flavors.
Yeah.
Some of them have their own codex, and it is like
Well,
Matt
it's
was
one
saying-
codex and a lot of shared units that
Yeah.
can all play very
Exactly.
differently.
Yeah.
But and so if you are thinking of like something like Thousand Suns, because there are some units definitely like Matt said that they are lacking variety. They may be cool as all get out, but if you only have like 2 or 3 troop choices, maybe a couple other shit. Yeah, okay, it'll be fun for the first couple of rounds, but you want to do other shit.
Yeah.
So maybe
So
if
maybe
you're
you
thinking
start-
something like that, start with something else.
Maybe you start with Chaos Space Marines,
Yeah.
and then
Explore
and
a
then
bit.
and then you get a detachment of Thousand Suns, and it's a patrol of Thousand Suns or a Vanguard detachment of Thousand Suns or something, and you work your way into that Thousand Suns army rather than starting there. And that's the way you build up into
And the nice
it,
thing about 40K too, you don't have to play 2,000 points. Most anyone, you can just pick up a starter box, and other people will be like, "Sure, let's have a quick little game.
Yeah.
Play your stuff.
That's
You
super
don't have
nice.
to drop 2,000 points worth of dollars, which is usually like more than $2,000
Yeah.
to start playing. There'll be people that'll be willing to play little pickups or whatever anywhere. You just gotta ask around.
Yeah, that's a big one. I love how that turned into a, hey Matt, you made a bad decision starting with Thousand Suns.
Let's expand on that.
No,
Yes.
right, but yeah, sorry. I
Not a
don't
bad
want
decision.
not to
Yeah.
bash you,
No,
but
that's-
like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
something that you learned,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I still love Thousand Suns, right? And I
Yeah.
would love to still go back and play them, but
And something you'll probably do in the future.
Yeah,
It's
of
just
course.
it's just yeah.
But starting as a new player is something to be aware of.
yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want to buy a thick codex.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Gotta
happened to
get
me.
'em thick.
My second army, Death Guard, I literally built one 2,000-point list, and that's all I bought.
Yeah.
That's it. I play it the one way, but it also told me the play style I like to play. I found by playing that list, which is hyper aggressive stuff, and then a mobile fire base, and I took that in orcs, and I've taken that in everything else. I found my play style, and that makes it way easier to start new armies because you can use that as a reference point. And be like, okay, if I wanted to play Tyranids, because I play every single army in this game probably. There's cool
But now,
models in every
now you've
army.
got a pretty good idea of what kind of units you'd want to get in other factions.
Exactly. I don't just have to look at the whole range of an army and be like, what do I like? I can be like, what do I like that can do the things I want to do on the table?
What types of models
and go
in
from
other
there.
factions do I want?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny though, because that's just like different armies, but falling back into the same style.
Mm-hmm.
But at least you get a little bit of a different flavor here and there because everyone's
Yeah.
got their different rules.
Yeah.
Where again, like going back to what I was saying is, I just completely flipped sides.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was rocking, 40 rubrics that would just slowly make their way across the entire field, shoot anything they could, psychic the fuck out of anything you could see,
And just
and then
slowly
of course Magnus was like right in the front lines right away, and then somehow pull off a victory here and there. But then I swapped to Drukhari. I don't shoot really at all. I've got a bunch of pistols. Great. First turn, I'm in the deployment zone of my enemy in melee combat, and I've never played an army that does that before ever, and it's so appealing and so punchy. It feels so good.
So refreshing.
Yeah, it's very refreshing
Yeah.
to just immediately change styles.
Yeah, well, I found that too, going from Space Wolves, Space Marines, over to Imperial Guard. You go from big solid units with lots of armor and not a whole ton of them, over to fuckloads of infantry everywhere. Let's shoot them with all our flashlights 4 times each.
Yeah.
Woo! So
That was kind of a thing too, appealing for me, going from Thousand Suns, right? You had less than 50 models on the table, and now my plans for my Drukhari list is like 60 infantry troop choices alone, plus all the extra shit, right? You can take like bikers. A squad of 6 bikers is like as much, just a few points over, as compared to like a single Hellbrute, right? So it's really interesting to have that many models at your fingertips when I went from playing 2 elite armies in a row, like my GK list was like 23 guys.
Yeah.
Something close to that, right? And then amped it up a little bit, doubled it when I went to Thousand Suns, and then now it's just like, just as many guys as I can possibly take because they're so cheap, which is really cool. But I feel like it's going to be really interesting once I get that other half of my list. I might actually be able to win some games.
well, you haven't
Oh, you
been
can
doing
win
bad
games.
too far. You've been doing pretty good with all of our starting from the low points and up, right?
Well, more or less. I mean, I'm on a 6-game loss streak right now.
You just got to play against me, man. We'll turn it around.
Well, I mean, I've been rolling like absolutely horribly, too, which doesn't help.
Yeah, the first round we played today, where it was really close.
Yeah.
Had you actually got some decent rolls and got to gone first, it probably very likely would have been your game.
Yeah, that's true.
So the dice make a lot of difference, right?
They sure do.
If you roll shitty, the other thing to be aware of too, anybody who has played for a while and people that are new, if you do not have clear dice, check them for balancing. I had a full case of dice and I decided to do a saline check to see if they're balanced because I was shitty rolls every fucking game. I found out that it was weighted, so I was either getting 1, 2s, or 3s all the time. I was having a hard time getting any 6s or otherwise, and the whole set was like that. It wasn't until I actually started checking on my other dice that I found some that are properly balanced, and I started having some good games. I wasn't feeling like I was kicking ass too bad or shitting the bed every fucking time.
Yeah.
So it was
It's nice about transparent dice. You can see the bubbles.
Exactly, right? So it's worth checking if you're unsure. I mean, most dice you can play them, and as long as you're roughly around the middle, you'll still get the rare good roll and you get the rare bad roll. But as long as they're pretty balanced in the middle, then it's fine.
They're getting better.
Yeah, they sure are. They sure are. Because I mean, the older Chessex dice that were opaque, that had the colors and stuff like that, there were a bunch of them that had bubbles, and that's what I was using. I really liked them, but my game sucked. The rolls were retarded. I wanted to like melt one and make sure all the rest watched, just scare them into working better. But against my better judgment, I decided that probably wouldn't work. So
throw a little oil in your pan, add the 36 dice, saute them up a little bit.
But I think that'll probably about wrap us up there.
We just hit 55.
Yeah,
so
I think
bad.
I think next week we'll introduce you to our sixth member, Derek.
The other Eric, the supposedly good Eric, won't be here. He has a best friend's wedding and shit, and every weekend until the end of July. I won't be here. So I'll probably miss the next episode following that. Be up for it.
Maybe Spaceballs will be out by then.
I hope so. I'm saving up that money, dropping all the
Probably
codex and all the cool shit, the dice and everything. I'm pretty stoked.
Oh, their dice might be sweet.
I had
frost
an
colored or
dice.
something.
I had an
I've heard
older,
rumors that they will.
I had an
get it.
older cube and it was like frost. They're
Yeah.
actually cinch colored dice because
Oh, yeah.
they had one for each of the different colors.
Yeah.
But they were like a blue and white ice with like black dots on them. And
I'm
they were
hoping,
so
I'm
cool,
hoping
but I lost
Orcs
them.
Tasty.
versus
Space
Space Wolves Warzone.
As a kit, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, and you know what? It
Yeah,
really
That would
works
be
out.
really cool, yeah.
It really
Yeah.
works out because my brother plays orcs,
There you
and
go.
so there were a couple older ones.
Lehman
bought
Russ versus Gazcool.
hopefully
Yeah.
right size gas cool.
Yeah.
And it would be
Yeah.
fucking awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I love the wolves. I love their lore. Even though there are some characters that are literally named Wolf 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 just in different languages.
I'm sure it's fine.
It's cool. It's fine. The whole Viking thing and I like it. I like it. Cut some faces. Drink some special alcohol. Get fucking wasted. It's cool.
Super booze for super marines.
Exactly. If normal humans drink it, they die. But
Kool-Aid.
well, if it is
These
Kool-Aid,
juice crystals fuck us up.
heck with strong alcohol. I'll just throw some Kool-Aid in there and we'll get right fucked.
Well, suppose we can wrap it up there, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you all for listening. Hopefully...
You all one person.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Jimmy. Thanks.
It's always a Jimmy.
Uh,
It's probably up past his bedtime.
You with
Bob?
the face, thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully these kind of smooth out over time. Naturally they will, I suppose. But, yeah.
Episode 2 will probably have at least 4 minutes of useful information. That's 4 more minutes than this one.
4 more minutes of useful
4 more
information.
minutes.
I mean, I feel like we could a lot of good
percent-wise,
info
that's
for new
enormous.
players, but you know.
Yeah,
Goodbye,
that
Jimmy.
it kind of turned into...
Or Jimette.
Jiminette. Cricket.
Okay.
Well, we still went through all the other stuff, you know,
Yeah.
and the ridiculous.
I mean, I learned a lot.
Stay
Yeah.
tuned for some bloopers because it took us like 163,000 takes to even get this started.
Yeah.
We might make a second podcast after this one actually had some followers and just be like, well, this is the fuck up podcast.
Yeah.
For those who give a shit. So,
The Dropped on Its Head podcast.
exactly.
That's actually not bad.